Hi. So I wanted to talk about learning to love ourselves and how important it is. I'm tired. I just got home from work and had my breakfast, and but I wanted to talk about this because of everything going on in the world right now. I think this is an especially good time to talk about this subject, learning to love yourself. And it's not selfishness. It actually, the first time I heard the message learning to love yourself, I was listening to an audio file by Louise Hay. And she talked about how the verse says that we are to love others as we love ourselves. And then she talked about how do we love ourselves? She asked that question, how do you love yourself? And she talked about self-talk, the inner dialogue that happens in our heads. When you make a mistake and you failed to accomplish something you wanted to accomplish, or maybe you lost your temper and you went too far, or just all the ways we want to do something so bad and it makes us excited, when we think about it. And then the fear creeps in and we're like, well, I probably can't do that. Well, probably this and probably that. And we shoot ourselves down before we don't give ourselves a chance to succeed. We don't need any enemies because we get in our own way more often than not. And some of us are worse about this than others for various reasons. But I think we all struggle with, to some degree, unhealthy inner dialogue, an unhealthy relationship with ourselves. That's what it's really about. And see, the verse is key because it says, love others as you love yourself. How do you love others? Are you impatient? Do you feel like you cannot tolerate so that you don't understand and you just shut down? You're like, I don't understand why, blah, blah, blah. And you just shut down and you shut out those people. The thing is, we're all human and we're really not that mysterious. We all have our reasons for doing the things we do. And if we want to achieve a more harmonious outcome in this life, regardless of whatever is happening around us, we always get to choose. This is my life. I'm the one who decides what I'm going to think in my head. Sometimes thoughts pop into my mind and I think they've come out of nowhere. Well, I have the power to stop that thought and say, no, not going that direction, brain, not today. That's not the plan. There was a time when maybe I would entertain that fear, or I would entertain that criticism and judgment, nitpicking other people or myself. But I'm not doing that. It's not my groove. I'm not rocking that anymore. Now, I didn't go from point A to point M, or I don't know. I don't know where I am on the scale, but I love myself a lot better than I ever have before in my life. When I listened to that message, you can learning to love yourself. I realized as I listened to that, I was like, wow, I have been living in a lot of self-loathing. Not just self-hate, but not self-dislike, but loathing. Loathing, okay? So part of that is my personality. Part of that is due to upbringing and just my own nature. I've told people in the past I am a typical firstborn, people-pleasing perfectionist. I am a modified version of that these days because I choose to be. So, what I want to say to you is, regardless of what is happening in the world today, you are responsible. You were made for this life. And I know what it is to be overwhelmed by things and to feel like everything's coming undone because I made some decisions in my life that did cause it to come undone and completely, I started over. At 45, I had been a stay-at-home mom, homeschooled my kids. My life revolved around my husband and my kids, and it all came crashing down around me. I realized as I learned to love myself, I discovered what was making me so unhappy, and it was the choices I had been making in my life. It was the inner dialogue, the way I spoke to myself in my head. And I started learning other things about myself, that I was a codependent person. You can be codependent without having a drug or alcohol addiction. And that was me. I think a large majority of the people in our nation are very codependent. It's prevalent, and most people do struggle with that. That's a story for another day. But I began my journey of learning to love myself, and I was learning about how I was sabotaging myself and learning to do something different. And affirmations helped me change, because it's not like saying the magic words and ta-da, you have a new life, or I want a pony, I want a pony, I want a pony, and oh, look, there's a pony in my backyard. No, that's ridiculous. Saying affirmations is akin to praying prayers and or dreaming dreams. It is telling your brain, this is the direction I want to go. I don't want to sabotage myself anymore. I want to learn to love myself and support myself. You have to, if you're going to change your habits, you can't just cut them cold turkey and walk away. You have to replace old habits with new. Otherwise, you have this empty space just dying to be filled with something. And what are you most likely to fill it with? The same old, same old. So you have to be proactive. So affirmations are important. Journaling is important. As I began learning to love myself, I started changing the way I would, something would happen, and I would catch myself in my mind. I would start talking very negatively, very harshly, and I stopped myself in my tracks, and I would rewire things. I'd stop or I'd shift gears. That's a better way to say it. Excuse me. I would shift gears and remind my brain, this is not how I want to live anymore. I'm not, maybe in the past, I always let you spiral out of control and veer off to the left, to the far, 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 far left. But I'm not doing that anymore. I'm taking control. And I get to choose. I get to choose, and I choose to love me. I choose to treat me like I'm trying to treat every other human being. One of the things about that message, where she said, the verse says, love others as you love yourself. I had grown up in Christianity, and I always thought that what was right and good was for me to put God first, other people second, and myself last. But I took this to such an extreme in my marriage that I became a nobody. I shriveled up and lived so tiny, so small, so afraid. And there came a day as I began this journey forward, learning to love myself. And what I want to tell you is, it takes time. If you are out of shape and you're like, hey, I want to get back in shape. Let's say you've let yourself go for 10 years. So you've got some, like me at the moment, I got a little bit of a Pooh Bear belly going on. And yeah, some extra fluff here and there. So if I'm going to get myself in shape, I have to know right from the beginning, I'm not going to be in shape 2 weeks from now. It's going to take as long as it takes. And I have to be prepared for the fact that I'm going to fall off the wagon every now and then. Not on purpose. I'm not purposing, I'm not planning on that. I just know my human self. I am perfectly imperfect, and sometimes that means I can't avoid donuts or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, in that same way, changing the way you think, you have to give yourself time, and you have to just commit. You have to commit, because here's the thing. Other people treat us the way we teach them. We teach others how to treat us. We teach others what is acceptable behavior when they're with us. So what this is a call to more mindful, thoughtful living. And it begins with you caring about yourself and nurturing yourself. A lot of us grew up with parents who did their best. They gave us what they had to give, and there were some gaps that left us feeling like we're not enough, or we're only lovable if we do this exactly right, or so we need to learn to nurture ourselves the way we've always needed to be nurtured. Nobody knows that about you the way you know that about you. And how could anyone else in the world love you the way you desire to be loved if you're not doing that yourself? You teach others how to treat you. So focus on how to treat you first. Get yourself in a good groove of loving and caring for yourself and looking out for yourself. And then people around you will start realizing, oh, wow, she's like this, or he's like that. And they take their cues and their lessons about how to behave towards you and around you. They take those cues from you. And even, like I said, these things, it's just a commitment to learning. It's a commitment to learning and growing. And it's going to take as long as it takes. And it's not about checking off a box. It's about healing your life. Healing your life so that you're able to relax and be truly who you are. Because when we don't love ourselves, we're always hustling for our worthiness. Hey, do you see how I'm doing? Are you happy? Or do you love me now? Do you love me now? we're not supposed to, that's not healthy living. You are lovable just as you are. Do you have some room for improvement? Don't we all? You know? But I just want to encourage you to invest in yourself in this way. Invest in self-care. I'm not talking about mani-pedis. I'm not talking about, hey, go out and buy yourself a new car, or I'm talking about pay attention to what is going on in your heart space. You know, do you have peace? And why is that? Only you can answer that question. Sometimes we need to hit the pause button, ask the tough questions, and let the answer rise up within us, and pay attention to that. Go where the peace is. Go where the peace is, where you feel a true solid, like, yeah, this feels good. I like this space. I hope to encourage you to love yourself, to learn to love yourself, especially in this time, because love is a strong and a steady and a sure foundation. It's like bedrock, you know, so that when your feet are planted on bedrock, you are steady and not so easily shaken. And the things that are going on around us right now are shaking a lot of us to our core. You know, there are a lot of unanswered questions. There's a lot of confusion. But you can learn to love yourself and bring yourself to peace, to a place of peace, because that peace actually is within you. Sometimes it just gets buried under a lot of stuff. It gets shut out by all the noise of everything happening around us. You can quiet yourself. You can bring yourself to a place of peace, and you can love yourself. You can learn to love yourself and begin to develop a healthy relationship with your own self, so that you become fiercely true to who you are as a person, and then you start drawing in the people you need, the people you actually need, instead of people who aren't even your tribe, instead of living your life like you got to hustle for worthiness. Hey, am I dancing fast enough? Am I running fast enough? Did I do that thing right? Walking on eggshells and trying to please everybody else, you will never ever have peace living your life that way. You have to commit to learning who you are and loving who you are and being supportive and nurturing to yourself. Do what you got to do to heal your life so that you can rebuild and have a healthy relationship with yourself as well as the people around you. My life, I am happier and healthier in my life than I've ever been. It began with great upset, but it's been worth it. Everything has been worth it. As every decision I've made that was based on my heart, what my heart was needing. My heart was needing to be loved, valued, and appreciated. It needed healing, and I committed to doing what I needed to do to make those things happen for myself. And I will talk more about those things as the days in the days ahead. For now, I'm gonna go because I need to sleep. I wish you well, and much love to you. Bye.